Welcome to Two Poor Kids podcast. I'm Christian,
I'm Liz.
and we are going to have a rather intimate episode. The good kind of, they're both kind of good intimacy. So, the deep one. Well, they're both kind of deep too.
What a dirtbag. What are we even talking about
I
today?
don't know. So we wanted to start this episode with a trigger warning.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about mental health.
Yeah. Mental health for sure. And so I think be prepared at least. Like this whole episode, the overarching theme of this episode, I think will all sort of tie back into probably mental health and trauma and diagnoses, maybe misdiagnoses, like all sorts of things. And so if that's like not where you're at in your journey and whatnot, then you hit skip or like rewatch last week's episode.
Yeah.
Come back to this one when you're ready.
There will probably be a positive ending at the end.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're here, right? So if you can stick it out, that's true.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. I think that it's also fair to say is that like the topics of today's conversation will absolutely talk about some heaviness that's happening in the world today. And like some of the things that we're experiencing and seeing and feeling and some posts that like we put up on Facebook this weekend and so this is your warning for that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Let's get into it.
So I think that first you have been doing some self-discovery.
Meh.
Here's the bus driver. Beep, beep. Motherfucker.
Am I driving right now?
No, I drove the bus.
Oh, yeah. For mental health?
No, for 88 or your self-discovery.
Yeah. But arguably though, you may have drove the bus on like getting to therapy anyways.
No. Driving the bus as in I threw you under the bus and then I forced you to start talking about your self-discovery right now. What's going on in your head?
Okay. Well, sometimes I'm not on the analogies, which is probably directly related to the thing that you're talking about.
Nailed it.
Okay, y'all. So, I've been in therapy for, I don't know, about, I guess, 2 years. I've been in therapy for about 2 years. And this will all come back around, especially when I tell you what I'm actually thinking about, and you can see all the side tangents to which get me to where I'm trying to be. 2 years ago, I started therapy, and I was like, I was in a job that had all of the makeup for all of the things that I loved. It was serving the community I wanted to serve. I was doing a lot of the things that I wanted to do. I built a team from the ground up, like all of the things. And I just I couldn't, like no matter which angle I took, I couldn't actually get to the leadership table. And I kept like hitting a glass ceiling. And it was frustrating and exhausting. And I experienced a lot of moral injury. And if you don't know what moral injury is, because tons and tons of people don't, that's totally okay. It's like you go to work or you are doing something in your life and you're being asked to do something that puts your like morals at odd with your professional and your personal life, and there's some like tug and pull there, and you're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard space, and then you're exhausted and you're sad and you experience injury from this thing that you're supposed to be caring and loving. And so I went into therapy a full mess, like a full mess, and I think that it took a really long time to get to where I am right now, where and we'll talk about all of the other stuff eventually that comes up in other spaces and podcasts, but where I am right now, About once a month, I still go to weekly therapy. About once a month, I question whether or not like I need therapy anymore. I'm like, I think I'm probably well. Like I don't know that I feel like I have tons of stuff to talk about. And then of course something happens like when I first started this cycle, probably like last summer, where I was like, I'm probably good on going to therapy, at least not every week. And then I forgot to tell my therapist that I was having a panic attack the weekend before in the bedroom. Like I put myself in timeout into the bedroom because I couldn't figure out the dishes. Like I had set something. I can see it now. I can see it now. If you can see about what I'm to tell you, high five to you. But like, um, you were like trying to help me in the kitchen, and I was like, but I was gonna do the thing, and you were like, yeah, I was gonna help you do the thing, and then my mind just melted
She got mad,
and I like,
but like silent mad.
yeah, I don't holler, um, outside of my brain, and so like it felt like my brain was turning to mush, and I just like couldn't, I could not, I could not keep my cool, and I was just like running in my head, and I could hear myself throwing a whole fit when you were just like, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna help clean the kitchen. Love that. Almost every other day, I love that. That is not what happened that day. So I went in, I excused myself, had a panic attack for like 20 minutes, forgot to tell my therapist about it, and was about to tell her I think I'm fine. And then I was like, by the way,
And this has happened a few times
this has happened a few
on
times.
the monthly cycle. Is you'll come home and be like, yeah, we just kind of like hung out for an hour and
I didn't really have much to talk
didn't have much to
about.
talk about. I was
I
like,
think I'm
for real?
okay. I think I'm fine. Like,
You're like, I think I'm gonna go to monthly now.
at least every other week. Okay. So I'm glad that we're talking about this today because it's really been weighing heavily on my mind and on my heart this week. So last week, in therapy, we ended up doing a virtual session just because like that. Usually I go in person, it's my preference, but like I needed to be virtual. And I think that it's interesting probably to watch me in person versus virtually. I think that like I am more distractible. I think that there's like lots of things going on. I'm not as comfortable because I'm like not in the safe space of my counseling office. Um because I also wasn't at home. I was like at work in virtual. And we get right, so all of the things. I got out of the bad job. I'm now in a good job. I mean, the other job was a good job, but I'm not in that job
It was not a
anymore.
good space for you.
It was not a good space for me anymore. And so,
That's not to say that it wasn't a good space for you before. Because,
right, it was.
Yeah.
Different story for a different day.
Yeah.
For sure. That has a lot to do with so much of who I am. And so we get probably 2/3 of the way through the session. And my therapist says to me, Liz, has anybody ever talked to you about ADHD? And I laughed at her, first of all. I went, and she said, what's so funny? And I said, I was just talking the other day about how I'm probably undiagnosed ADHD, but like half joking. And she was like, let's talk more about that.
Interesting.
Let's talk more about that. And she asked me, like, what concerns would I have about having ADHD? And why have I put off considering getting tested's not the right word, but like evaluated for ADHD, because like there's not, you don't like have a certain, like you can't go get a blood test and they're like, yes, you're ADHD. It's not like getting your A1C checked or whatever. And and truthfully, I think that I have put off probably for longer than I can realize at this point in time considering that I have ADHD, because I like never want to take somebody else's experience and then make it my own. Like I feel like I really I don't want to copy paste, and that I know that there is sometimes like likeness, but just because there are similarities does not mean that something is the same. And I think that I also worked in a really traumatic work environment or towards the end of that, and that has shaped a lot of me, of making sure like I don't know, like I don't want to take other people's space. And so as I'm saying this, and then I'm like all of the things, and I was like, yeah, like I don't know, probably at least half of my friends are diagnosed ADHD. And she's like, go on. And what's fun about my therapist, and why she's my therapist, I told her that I needed like somebody very straightforward, to the point. I do not like to be coddled. I don't want any of that. I like, just give it to me straight. She's from the East Coast, and so we're great for that.
Yeah, East Coast people are straightforward.
They're just straight up, and
West
I love
Coast
that.
people, they're soft. Like we like to like walk around the bush a little bit. Not we specifically, but just
So then we're talking, and talking about like how I don't want to like tread on other people's identities, I think is probably what it comes down to. And that I want to be really thoughtful of that. And she was like, I don't think that I told you this, but she was saying like, I can really see how this absolutely ties into your incessant need to take care of other people while neglecting yourself. And I was like, fucking rude.
tongue punch.
I just like rude. And because that's the main reason that I went to therapy, which of course Christian knows, but you all wouldn't know, is like I'm very bad. Even to this day, 2 years later, much better than I was for sure, but like about like allowing myself space, and to think that, oh man, is this gonna be the episode where I cry?
You're already crying. You've been tearing up the whole time.
To think that like I can take up space and I can prioritize myself, whether that comes to like fitness or relaxation or anything. And so like that is absolutely something that we continue to work on, and something that comes up regularly and all the time, and still at least monthly. I think that I'm fine and that I could probably go to like every other week. And I don't think that that's uncommon. And I think that that's also my struggle, is that if I see so many other people having the same concerns and the same struggle, that I probably just need to suck it up, which is also not based in reality. And I would never say that to anybody else.
Anybody else.
But I absolutely say that to myself. So that was that piece. And then she had the audacity to say to me, as I'm like going through this, dead stop, plain face, she goes, also, I think you're getting really great at masking your depression. What? And I agreed with her, because she's right. And I said, better and better every day. January is a terrible month for me.
It is.
January, I think, is like the hardest month of the year for me. And I can feel it in my bones. And it's still like yes, seasonal depression, but my dad died in January several years ago. He went into the hospital the day after Christmas, and then he never left it. And my biological dad, and like we were estranged for a lot of years, but But I think like everything was repairing and well, and he got clean and sober again, and
And he was clean for a bit.
it was clean, and he died clean.
And we threw him a wake. And I will say that before I get into my mental health stuff, I don't go to funerals. And I went to that one. And I hope that I have touched enough people's lives to just have that many people just have such nice things to say about me.
My dad was
It was wild.
even when my dad was like drinking and using, most of the time he was still a pretty nice guy. And yeah, and like and he never got to meet Zoe. Like there were so many things that he wanted to do that he'll never get to do. Zoe is our littlest. I'm clearly bad. Talking about mental health is not going to be able to help me shield other people's names. And so January sucks for me. But this year I was like, I feel fine. Obviously, because I'm about my 1 month time frame where like where I'm like, I probably don't need to go to therapy every week anymore, because I go into my therapy sessions and I'm like, I don't really feel like I have anything to talk about. So she was like, well, I'm going to send the assessment to you in the mail, in the email, in the online, in the portals. And you can do it. And then consider doing it. We talked all about like, what it does or doesn't mean. So then I do the assessment that night. This is last Wednesday. It was last Wednesday. So exactly like in between the our last posting and this one. And I'm doing the self-assessment, and I'm just like hurting my feelings. I'm hurting my own feelings on a majority of the questions. And I think that I kind of, the reason that it hurts my feelings, one of my friends was like, why does it hurt your feelings to know more about yourself? It hurts my feelings to know these things about myself, because the questions where I'm just like, yes, I have that behavior most of the time or all of the time. Nothing was never, first of all. There was nothing on that assessment that I was like, I never do that. That's rude, first of all. Second of all, the other things is like, I've been trying to fix those things my whole life. Like, I've always been, and I think was like cutely called a chatterbox, when like that's what my mom was like, oh, you're my little chatterbox. And as it turns out, if you are incapable of shutting up, that's a sign that you might have ADHD. Probably especially in girls. The what shows up for women is different, and how it shows up for men, especially in children, for ADHD. Don't quote me on that. I feel like I've heard that and read that somewhere, but if you come at me in the comments, I have no problem being corrected. But I think that's true.
There's no reason it wouldn't be true. It is a chemical imbalance, and women's and men's brains operate differently.
And so then I've had this week where, because I haven't made it back to therapy yet, we'll talk about the assessment, where I'm certain that she'll tell me that I have completed an assessment that looks like I could be medicated if I wanted to be. And there was one piece, and I laughed so hard about it the day of, but I think I laughed because I just continued to hurt my own feelings in that therapy session, is like I got defensive with her, which I don't normally get defensive with her, because I like,
how dare you?
not quite, but like I did like lots of work, like self-assessment and self-work on my like physical and mental abuse before I went to therapy, and like I understood and I had coped in many, many ways. And then I just sort of like ran out of tools in my toolbox, and that's why I went to therapy. Is like my coping mechanisms were no longer working and I needed new ones. And so usually when she's telling me something, like I'm like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Very logical. And just out of nowhere, when we were talking about like what I consider being medicated, if that's what it says, I just went, I like who I am. And then I used her name, but like, I like who I am. And so, like, I'm clearly have this underlying fear that, like, if I become medicated, do I like me less? Which also, sneak peek, is my number one reason why it's hard for me to talk about like inner child work and to let that go is do I become less of the person I like when I heal myself and that I'm fine and I'm well? I don't know. That scares me.
Yeah, yeah. So, I think that 2 Decembers ago, no, 3 Decembers ago, we decided, you and I, teamwork, that we were going to start doing therapy.
Yeah.
And one of the big reasons was, aside from our own self care, and the wintertime being absolutely terrible.
Terrible.
I'll get to my part in a minute. We wanted to open the space for our oldest to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Because all of us needed therapy.
Yeah.
And we did that.
In fact, I was the last one to make it into therapy.
Yeah. You were
My
a
wait
couple
list-
months behind.
my
And I
wait-
started January.
You and our oldest started like in January and or the beginning of February. And I don't think I even reached out for an assessment until like February or March. It was March. And then I was like on a 4-month wait list. I
Yeah.
sobbed.
You waited for this one person or place.
I waited for the place.
Yeah. I did not have that problem.
Yeah, you got right in.
Yeah. Because my therapy is different.
Yeah.
This is not my first time in therapy. I did do therapy during college for a little bit. And they told me, as I had mentioned in a previous episode, that I was going to have to do some very difficult work and to do it at a time that my life was more manageable.
Mm-hmm.
That is not to say that the time that I chose it was any more manageable than it was. Because, we started after like post-COVID, and
Yeah. Not that COVID would have
there's
been a
never
fun
gonna
time
be-
for us either.
there's never going to be a good time to,
No.
to do what I had to do. But I remember that for me, I had already been diagnosed with CPTSD, which is PTSD extreme. That's
Complex.
in no way is trauma and mental health a competition.
We talk about that a lot.
Yeah.
Right, like our trauma is not a competition.
But the way it was explained to me is that when a war veteran gets PTSD, they go to war, they do whatever they have to do, they come back with
Complex,
PTSD,
yeah.
and it affects the person. Then you get the CPTSD, which is that over and over and over and over and over and over, much like an onion.
Oh.
Yeah. And that's what I did, to the point that even this past weekend when I went to therapy and I was doing an EMDR session, and my therapist we were doing some memory finding because I don't have a lot of memories. This memory came up, and she's told me that she's not supposed to do this, but she'll just be like, "Oh my God." Because it'll just be some horrific thing. That's it's not normal, but it's my normal.
Yeah.
So whenever she asks me, like, for instance, how disturbed am I by this on a 0 to 10 scale, I have to be like, your 0 to 10 or my 0 to 10, because my disturbance level is just
Off the
very
charts,
high. Uh, so I started going to therapy to fix my mind because I've done a lot of step work through 12-step things, 12-step recovery processes, like a lot of times. And
Yeah, because you got how many years?
14 and a half
Oh, yeah, that's right.
today, actually.
Today's your half birthday?
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy birthday on and a half.
And a half. And so I got to a point and I had to search out EMDR therapy specifically because what I come to find out is my neural pathways do not match. My body reacts differently than my mind does. So I've told my therapist this a few times and like she understands it. And she told me that's normal, but the part that was messing with me is that mentally I think that I'm okay with the things that have happened, but when something triggers, my body has a full reaction that I can't control. So it seems like there's two people in my head. One is telling me that I'm fine. The other one is telling me that the bear's outside the shower.
Yeah.
Because during that December, and winter has always been terrible for me, I have to white knuckle it and hope that I don't run my car into a barrier before the sun comes back, because I've been in that situation. And I remember that year specifically,
That was the last straw for you.
that
Yeah.
was the last straw. Like I was terrified driving to work and driving home because I just couldn't get that thought out of my head. Like, what would it be like to run my car into the barrier? And then what if I did that with our youngest in the car? And that, like, to be in that space was terrifying. So I signed up for the therapy because in my mind I can just man up depression.
Man, I can't wait till we get to the Man Up podcast.
I can just tough guy it, which of course is not a real thing, right? It's our brains are driven off chemicals, and if we're not making the right chemicals, bad things happen. And so I did the EMDR, and I've been doing EMDR therapy for 2 years. And then my therapist, and we've worked on some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't be around fireworks. I couldn't be around cars that backfire, or else I would have a full mental breakdown. I do this thing with my hand where it's like clicking to focus on something. I haven't had to do that in like a long time.
Yeah.
I can go to restaurants.
You can stand in lines now.
I can stand in lines. So I figured out along the way. So I used to have really bad road rage, and I still have some road rage a little bit, not nearly as bad as it was. Come to find out, I just don't like getting trapped. Like if I feel like I'm trapped or someone's like on the offensive, I turn into a full maniac because I need to get out of there. The same thing happens with the car.
That's the root.
That's the root.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, not cool, but like cool to know where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have road rage. I don't have like an ounce of that in my body, and I conceptually understand you and people who like have road rage. I get that you're having an experience. Like I just actually cannot fathom it. And I think that my trauma has really manifested in a way that has I have been able to understand or like come up with a reason why everybody is acting or reacting the way that they are, is I can justify everybody else's behaviors other than my own therapy so well into a T in milliseconds that I think that my brain is just like, oh yeah, they're rushing because they're late for work, or like it doesn't bother me if they're trying to rush. I'll just give them extra space because I know that I'm only going to be 6 seconds later to work. And so like I don't have that.
Road rage is a different day. That was
A different day. Yeah.
yeah.
Just like just a
So
sidebar.
yeah. So in that December that we decided to go to therapy, I was like nearly every week I was having, because I get the sleep seizures, I get the night terrors, I get all that. Like it was happening all very frequently. Uh, in a normal pattern, it happens like once every 2 to 3 months. I'll get so stressed out, and then I'll have an episode where I full run in my sleep on the side of my body. Uh, I've been known to punch girlfriends in sleep, and
Before me, it's literally never happened.
yeah.
Different day, but that was a crazy conversation to have. When last episode we were talking about like your initial conversations that you have with people, and like when you're first starting in a relationship or a friendship or whatever it is, and you're like, this is who I really am. That absolutely was a part of our very first conversation. And I've never had to experience that, and we've been together for a decade.
Yeah, our initial dating came with warnings. Uh, so I was having all these episodes. I was getting terrified in the shower. We had our shower used to have a shower curtain. Now it's got a glass door. But I would be terrified to open the curtain when I was coming out. If I heard any amount of footsteps in the house, I'd have to do a full search of the house before I could go back to sleep. And sleep was like another thing for me. My body never went into REM sleep, which I'll get to in a minute. And that it affected my body for sure. My body, since I was younger, will just like wake up before I hit the deep sleep button. So I would wake up every hour, basically, just up, go back to sleep, up, go back to sleep. And yeah, so EMDR therapy. Fast forward 16-ish months, my therapist is going to go on maternity leave, and she says, hey, so we've done a lot of work on your PTSD, and I'd like to give you an evaluation if you're up for it for ADHD. I was like, no, I do not have ADHD. They're like, why do you say that? I said, because that's for people that can't pay attention. I have immense ability to pay attention. I understand all details all the time, every day. I know exactly what's going on all the time.
My situational awareness is high. I am a very high performer. I am like same, right? Like
Yeah.
running through the ranks of a hierarchy in an organization. I understand the baseline of what everybody does. I'm very good at listening.
I was like, what are you talking about? I've been killing it in my work. I've had a promotion every year since forever. I'm constantly excelling. I have all these things going on.
Same, yeah.
I don't sit down and play video games all day. I can't sit still, so I couldn't possibly do that.
We're busy all the time.
All the time. If I don't have something to do, I'll come up with something. And they're like,
Right,
yeah.
do you hear yourself? Yeah.
I know. I said, what are you talking about? And she said, and we talked about preconceptions of what it means to have ADHD or ADD and how the two are basically the same. And then I took my assessment, and I took my assessment, and I took another assessment, and then I had to give you an assessment, and then I brought back the assessment. I was like, there should have been signs. I was angry as a child. I would have blackout rage. Fun story about having PTSD and ADHD. They just feed each other. So I actually spent most of my life thinking that I was crazy. Because once my thought pattern starts, I don't think that I'm fit for society. And I just thought my brain operated on a whole other level. So she went on maternity leave, told me that I should go check in with my actual doctor. So I did. And then I jumped through the doctor hoops. And my doctor agreed. Yeah, of course. But no one had ever brought that up. So then they offered me medication, and I will say that that was one of the most terrifying things for me. I remember that once I got my first prescription, I sat with the pill in front of me for 3 hours before I was told to take it, because they told me that, well, basically, you'll know if you have ADHD if your mind calms down. And my work has always been super cool for the environment that I work in. Kind of a brief description. I have a team, or I have less of a team now, but I had a team of engineers. And we're all in this like room that fits 8 cubicles.
Like a fishbowl.
Yeah, it's like a fishbowl, and it's my fishbowl, and it's our fishbowl. So I put up a basketball hoop. I put space in for me to walk back and forth. Like I have a headset. I have the heavies, because their sound quality is awesome. Their mic quality is awesome. Their Bluetooth range is sweet. They're engineered for heavy music, because I've built all of these safeguards around me to make my mind work. Like, I listen to loud, chaotic music when I need to grind a bunch of work, which is not something that you have the.
I can't do that.
Yeah. And then when I'm on meetings, I'll be able to rattle off all this information, but only if I'm walking back and forth, or I got a little skateboard for my little tech deck on my desk. My desk is chaos. It's like I just got pictures and toys and fidgets and stuff, and I got a little basketball hoop, and
my desk is not like that.
fun story. Apparently there should have been signs. So, I remember that, like, I sat there with that pill for like 3 hours, terrified to take it, because they told me that we fully believe that you have ADHD, but the only way that you'll know is if you take the pill and 30 minutes later your mind calms down. I was like, what'll that be like? And they said, basically, you'll take the pill, and then 30 minutes later it'll be like 1,000 meetings are going off in your head, and then one meeting is going off in your head. That was the wildest experience of my adult life.
I just don't think that I can understand conceptually what would be different. I just don't. I just don't think that. Which, of course, like, I'm future tripping, right? Like, I can't see in any way, shape, or form that after I answered, very often or all of the time on a majority of the questions, that she's gonna be like, "Yeah, you're a normie." Like, I can't imagine that. However, like, as you're telling your story, like, I just can't imagine what my brain is like if it's not like this. And why would I have tried to imagine that? I don't know. And I go back on my defensive, but I like who I am. Which she tells me, you don't have to take medication, but
You don't have to take medication, and you don't, and it's nice, because if I don't want to take the medication, I just don't take it. And when I do take it, I'm not cutting people off their sentences, trying to finish their sentences. I sit calmly and I wait for them to speak, and then I'm able to share to carry on the conversation. I will also say that I have learned a whole ton of new skills in the past 3 months. I can do so many things because I'm just able to focus on the thing, learn it a lot, and then that's how we ended up here, by the way. Like, I didn't know audio, video, podcast, or anything. And then you kind of just let me run with it. Now we got these.
I'll let you run with almost anything, husband. Fun fact, husband and wife, in fact, are our pet names for each other.
That's true.
We don't, that's just what we call each other. Husband? Wife?
Wife? I also spell her name with 2 Z's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you go back to our podcast from this weekend, you can guess who wrote it based upon the signature.
Did I do it?
No, I did it.
Oh,
There's
nice.
only one Z. You were with me this weekend.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. So, mental health, where we have a lot of experience with the people surrounding us,
Yeah.
ourselves, our core group of people, our community. We've collected a bunch of misfits along the way.
Yes.
And yeah, we have this level of intimacy with the majority of the people that we
Hang out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the ways, if you're not willing to
Be here.
be here,
On this level.
I
Yeah.
I tend to not be connected with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll associate with them for sure, and I'll hang out with them periodically, but like I'm
But
not
not
going to
the
call
inner
them every day.
Yeah, not the inner circle of friends.
Yeah.
I think that like an interesting question for you, in addition to like, I don't know if it was actual like suicidal ideation or just like curiosity ideation, but in addition to that, like, why did you decide to go to therapy? And then I'll tell you mine. Or if somebody is wondering, like, should I give therapy a shot? Like, why did you finally do it?
I wanted to start being okay. I think that car incident was terrifying to me. I started to think that I was getting pretty close to need to be in a padded room. And when the fear gets great enough, or when the struggle gets great enough, that's when we choose to change. I didn't want to have to hit a new rock bottom and throw my entire life away to have to change.
And you'd been going to meetings and you'd been like
Yeah.
doing all these things, and you just needed new and more skills.
Yeah, and I've been doing the thing for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I thought I'd be better by now.
Oof. Yeah.
I thought that I should be better by now, which is clearly a topic of the day. I just went to a meeting a little bit ago, and the topic was the shoulds, basically. Like, I should have a nice car, and I should have a better job, and I should have all these things, and I should be nicer to myself. But
am I?
But am I? And why should I? Like who makes the should? And instead it's, I can be better to myself. I can have the nice things. How do I get them? That sort of thing. So I think that the reason, one of the things that has come up a few times this week, and I think over the past few months, so I have a chat group with our core group of work people, as referred to.
Shout out to the Crystal Palace.
Shout out to the Crystal Palace. Sometimes they're jerks. They're never jerks. No.
They're never. You have the sweetest team of people.
Yeah, but the chat, someone posted a meme that said something along the lines of, I was doing so good, and then I wasn't, and I don't understand why. Because I was doing so good, and I had this whole. I was driving down to Corvallis last weekend, and I remember as I'm driving around with this other guy, and he's sharing a story with me. Like, I'm having this whole side. I'm engaging in the conversation. I wasn't just like letting him talk, but I was having like this other thing go on
in the back of your brain,
in the back of my brain,
percolating.
Yeah, it was like, I was doing good. How did I get out of hand? And I will say that this is by far the best January that I have ever had mentally. I
Mhm.
think the medication has made me manage better. Uh, and there's still like this thing in the back of my head telling me I'm not good enough. I'm not doing the right things. I'm not a good dad. I'm not a good
Mhm.
husband. I'm not a good worker. I'm trash. Constantly in my head. And the meme said, "It's the fascism, boss."
It's the fascism, boss. Yeah.
and I think there's a lot of truth in that. Uh, and this is where we're gonna get a little bit spicy. I think.
Like about our, I mean, like everybody is
Absolutely.
attempting to operate on a broken nervous system.
Yeah, I think that the post that was posted on our Facebook this weekend.
Yeah. Should I
Or
read it? Is that helpful, or do you all want to go back and read it yourselves?
I think they should have the experience.
Of going.
Yeah, like go look at our post.
Yeah.
Listen to the music. Read the
Listen
whole
to the
thing.
music. I think that that's important. Look at it visually, and yeah, you can continue on that, but that's fair. I think you're right. Is that it was like intentional and curated on things that not only matter to us, but should be impactful and are impactful to the world.
Yeah. So we're working on ourselves. We're doing good work, and we're helping build other people, and we're like paving the way for all the people around us, opening doors, and like that's kind of our thing.
Yeah.
Step up and wiggle. Uh, and then we're coming home exhausted and burned up, and I can never figure out what is going on. And it wasn't until that moment,
It's fascism, boss.
it's the fascism, boss, that it clicked. Is that my body is stuck in fight and flight response. I'm safe at the moment, and I just want to fight my way out of them. Out.
Mm.
Like I grew up on punk music, so I've said this a few times. I'm supposed to be fighting right now, but I'm not going to go out and physically fight people
Physically fight people.
because now I have a lot to lose, and I was talking to another person tied to the family, and he's having the same experience. Is that we are these people in our organizations where fathers and I'm a husband, and we got the houses and the stuff, and now I have to find creative ways to fight the system. So I literally woke up on Sunday after the events of Saturday and was like, it's either I'm going to choose violence or we're going to start creating things.
Yeah, I think like I want to roll back just like a little bit because if you're listening and you haven't read our post, I think I also want to be clear about like who we are, right? Is um we encourage everybody to be free thinkers.
Absolutely.
We want you to do your own research and that research is not based in the media that you normally get information from. And if you're getting your information only from social media, you're doing it wrong. You're being
You are being trolled.
yeah, and therefore you are also a troll.
Yeah.
And so I've said a few times, I don't know if it on this podcast or on my other podcast, but like do your homework. Go and seek out news from like people from the news of the people who have the differing views and opinion from you so that you can at a baseline understand what the hell is happening because why can't we agree? And I think almost more importantly, and in many cases, maybe much more importantly than that, is um, seek out news that is intentionally trying to not be biased. Seek out international news and look at what's happening within your country. Do all of those things and then listen. And something that I say for myself and when I'm talking to people, if you are in this weekend and talking about uh, like killings and shootings with federal agents, because that is what we're talking about in our country, um, like we need to be listening to marginalized voices twice as hard as we listen to everybody else. Like we are, as a society, as humans, like we don't listen very well, and we try to create implications based upon how we understand them. But if you don't have those experiences, if you are not from those communities, if you are not marginalized, if the topic at hand is not one that you're experiencing, you need to listen twice as hard to the people actually feeling and experiencing those things. And that is where the truth lies. And we talk a lot about in our everyday life. And Christian, I'm certain, said this for the first time and it stuck with me, and I like run it. Is what you permit, you promote.
Yeah.
And so, like, that is a huge part of us. It's also part of like what we talked about in the carousel, like on the socials, is like what you permit, you promote, and what we're unwilling to promote is fascism and racism and terrorism. We're unwilling to permit and promote people who are trying to tear other people down, because like that is not who we are as people. This is also not the world that we're fighting to be a part of.
Yeah, and I guess from a political standpoint, I would say we, and myself specifically, I've always been like middle left. So like
I agree with that.
the screaming liberal was never like my
Identity. I agree with that. Yeah.
I fully believe that gun rights, I should have gun rights. I would like to go shoot fancy rifles. And I know that we are middle class, and
Now
for sure, the two poor kids is a real thing. And that is very recent. And I know that we benefit from the thing, capitalism and stuff. And we still purposely pay taxes and vote for extra taxes.
Yeah, for social programs.
Because guess what? The only thing that the government has to sell is fear. They do not produce a thing for sale. The fear is generated to make you pay taxes. So if you want nice things, you got to pay money. That's just a fact. The only money they're making is either debt or taxes. And I think that every year, I think except for this past year and maybe the year before that, I have watched V for Vendetta. I've read 1984. I've done all the things, and we've seen 1984 literally happen on Saturday. The government does not understand how social media works because millions of people watched the videos that happened from all different angles, and then they tried to tell us that we didn't see what we saw.
Which is the same thing that happened with Renee Nicole Good a few weeks ago. And I think that they do understand, certainly to a point, and we were literally told not to believe what we saw or what we heard.
Yeah.
Which is like textbook 1984. And so, like, we won't spend this whole podcast talking about this weekend, or the weekends and the days to come. But I do think that it is really important to understand that, we as a society have been here before. Like we are, I think, on the precipice of like a civil rights uprising once again. Um, and it brings us to Sunday after all day Saturday. We were actually busy. Like, no, I'm actually like I'm on the news pretty regularly. Like, I have multiple media outlets. I'm like scanning news from all of those different sources that I was talking about before. Is that like pretty regularly, a few times a week at minimum, but right now because everything is like really hyped up super regularly. But Saturday we were busy. We like you had therapy first thing in the morning.
I did a pizza party and
right, we did a pizza party. We were immediately like running around. We had friends over that night and we hadn't I don't think that like we were even on social media that day.
I didn't have my phone in my hand the whole day.
Yeah, it was wild. And so friends come over, like new friends, so we're playing board game with them or prepping to play a board game with them for the first time. And board games, if you're watching us, like all of these lovely board games back
I
here.
actually play these.
We do. This is a real background. And they're like super sad. And I was like, "Man, the world sucks, right?" And they were like, "Yeah." And they were like, we just knew that community was better today." And just it was like a generalized statement. And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." And then one of them was like, "Yeah, I just cried all day long today." And I was like, something new? Because reasonable for you to be crying about like whatever it is you need to cry about. Like your feelings are your own and I'll validate those to whatever end. And they're like, "Yeah, have you not seen the news?" And I was like, "No." And I was like, how bad is it?" Also trying to gauge because we have almost 5-year-old. And so I don't think I don't think today we might touch on it today, but not today, but like we also have these hard conversations with our kids. Right? Is like
Yeah.
This is I think the high level is that this is our dinner conversation. Age appropriate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like ish, right? Like we're not asking our 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, and telling her to be like, "You watch the videos." That's not happening. That's insane.
But our 4-year-old has been to protests.
But our 4-year-old has been to protest. Absolutely. Yeah, my brother to a protest, not even in the town that we live in, earlier this year.
Yeah.
Or it's 2026, last year. And so like part of like how we do things is that we also talk to our children and always have about what's happening and how to understand the other side of whatever argument it is, because that is such a fundamental truth, is that like there's no purpose in getting into an argument if you can't take a moment to understand what the other person's actually trying to tell you.
And that is something that I think that we touched on a previous episode was I've spent a lot of time understanding both sides because, and I want to like emphasize this, like I am a big proponent of AI. AI is a tool. AI is like I fully believe that like, we could be causing the next Skynet for sure, but
Yeah.
and that if I want to continue to be useful in the workplace, I'm going to need to know how to use and control AI
To enhance.
Yeah, because guess what? AI can do chemical engineering. Surprise. And I also know that I'm pretty good at spotting AI videos now because I've spent so much time focusing and studying on that. And soon that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
We are not going to be able to tell what stories are we're being fed and whether or not they're true, or some person or government agency in some dark cellar somewhere. Like I have to spend time understanding both sides so I can figure out what's real.
Yeah. I'll tell you, like, I actually I took one of those stupid little quizzes that's like spot the fake. And like I did not get them all right. I got about half of them right. And so like some fakes are believable.
That absolutely, that's the problem.
And that yeah.
And this brings us back to the mental health piece. Is that I'm driving myself crazy because I can't sometimes figure out what's real.
Yeah.
And like, and I have had friends and I have friends on both sides of the political spectrum. And sometimes when one of those friends tells me their experience and their beliefs and their thoughts, I understand that they're the core values now, but they're so far away from my own that I can't figure out if I'm wrong. Which I have also had experience with paranoia. And given the climate and the things that are happening and the AI and all these other, like me not doing enough,
Gaslighting. Yeah.
I'm just gaslighting myself. And I had to talk about this in therapy this week, is that I have been regularly mentally having a full breakdown in my head trying to be normal, because sometimes I have a hard time figuring out what reality is. I mean, I know what reality is, but like which version of the story is reality? With
all the things that are happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that for me, like I am suddenly, and I feel confident and okay in doing this because I continue even still to seek out so much information of like what is other people's media telling them. But I am no longer interested in having discussions with people who are attempting to justify babies in cages.
No.
Or people disappearing. Or 10 bullets to a body. I'm not. And so like to know that if you're in this and you're like fundamentally disagree with me, I don't care. Like I don't care, and I'm also not going to engage in the comments. Like that's not about this. About many other things. If you want to have great and wonderful discussion, wonderful. But I go back to moral injury, and that I'm living in a society that injures my morals every single day. That I in fact did that night after the friends left. And you didn't even know about it. So they told me at the top of the night, and I was like, oof, I'm going to hold this from Christian and our little one until we get through, like, dinner and everything. And then at the end of the night, they, like, alluded to, and you're like, I don't understand what's happening. And I was just like, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Yeah. We had finished playing Wonderland Wars, and they said something, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, oh, it's bad. And I was like, what kind of bad are we talking about?
Yeah.
Did we actually start World War III? What's going on?
Right. What level of bad? And so then get kiddo to bed. And no, she wasn't even in bed. Just kidding. That didn't even happen. It was right here. And she was like up. She was like playing with something up in her room, and I just sobbed.
Yeah.
I just like it wasn't even doom scrolled. I was like on a mission, consuming the 15 media outlets that I like go to try and see what I can see, and I just like scrolled, consumed, and I just sobbed. So please don't come at me in the comments. You will hurt my feelings. I will talk about it in therapy, and I still won't engage with you. Like protecting my peace.
That's fair. We're not here for the political discussion. There is no discussion. Both sides should be mad right now.
We should be infuriated and disgusted.
that person that was killed was not. He was an American citizen. He had his Second Amendment rights. He had a permit. That gun was not used or
It was
held out,
holstered, yeah.
holstered, and then he was publicly executed. That
And he
is a
was
fact.
and he was an ICU nurse
Yeah.
at the
And we have
veterans.
friends that are nurses.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this with, especially with Renee Good, is that you could have been that person.
Yeah, yes. Is that like in fact I've done that and would probably do that again, but like I saw and I continue to see this post, and I haven't decided how I feel about it or what I think about it yet. It's just it sits in the back of my mind. And it's there are pieces of it that I think I agree with it, and pieces of it that I am still working through. I am like well aware. I grew up on a small native reservation. If you caught some of the first episodes, then you know this. But I grew up there. That's my family. That's like all of the things that I know. But I'm also innately aware of my whiteness and my proximity to whiteness, and also that like I have such an immense amount of privilege, and protection being a white woman, and so I don't think that I like utilize my whiteness to be a Karen and like get what I want at a restaurant, but I do think that I like disrupt harm utilizing my whiteness, and call out when I can see when harm is happening. And so like I've done that countless numbers of times when I see marginalized folks being like interrogated or like targeted or something, to like help redirect the conversation to deflect the harm that's happening to them and to put it back on the person who's causing harm. And so like which is exactly what Renee Nicole Good did. Is she was deflecting harm and taking some of it on. And I'm like, "Oh, I do that." And so I came home and all of it is fucking terrible, but what we're seeing now is people I'm sorry, the comment was, then the piece that I don't know is like, is that white people dying in the streets now from federal agents, is that they're like now coming up as the wrong kind of white, right? They're not the complicit.
yeah.
They're
I
not
watched the video of
yeah,
that.
they're not the complicit kind of white. And so to lose our proximity to whiteness is in fact doing the work.
Yeah.
Of breaking that down and what that means. And like there is absolutely fundamental truth in that, and there's a lot of like heaviness to that video. Yeah, and so I'm sitting with that and I'm piecing it together and I'm consuming other sources. But like when you lose your proximity to your whiteness because you're the wrong kind of white, because you're showing up with and for BIPOC people, you might get killed. Just as BIPOC people continue to get killed at alarming rates.
For sure.
Like it is disproportionate.
It's more than two people.
It's more than two people. There were people before and there were people after.
Yeah, I remember that. My friend came over like quite a few months back. I hadn't seen him for a while. First thing he said, he got on. He started to was like, I don't see what the problem with Trump is, and da 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 da, and like, and he was like, I don't get why you liberals are so worried about it. I said, well, first off, I didn't say I was full liberal, and he was like, well, immigration. I was like, you know what? I've learned a lot about this people in the South. Like I have a lot. I'm building a factory in Arizona. I work in Texas pretty regularly. I understand that immigration across the border is a problem for
the people who live there.
For the people who live there, and it creates dangerous environments and all that. I think it might have to do more with the children getting locked up in cages and the families getting ripped apart. That's probably the problem. Because Thursday, I learned about the tender age camps.
Yeah, you had
you were messed me up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I took my youngest daughter, to a meeting last week or the week before. You were doing some recordings with with Natalia on the other podcast.
Yep.
And so I took Zoe with me to a meeting because that's pretty
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
And she spills a little bit of water, and she wanted to go get a paper towel to go clean it up. So I walked her over to the bathroom, and we got her a paper towel, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna use the bathroom. Go clean up your mess." And then she apparently didn't hear.
I'm going to the bathroom.
I'm going to go to the bathroom. So she went to go clean her mess, and then I wasn't there. But she was surrounded by 10 of her uncles.
Yeah.
And she had a full meltdown because she lost me. There are toddlers and infants.
And she's safe.
And she was in a completely safe environment surrounded by all that she owned. Like, she knows all the people that were in that room.
And she's been to that space before. She knows what it's all about.
All those people have been to our house. And
she could ask them where you went. Like, she has the tools.
And these kids are never going to see their parents again. It is highly unlikely. Thousands of babies. Because they're undocumented. They don't,
or their parents are.
Or they're dead.
Yeah.
And that,
babies in cages. Like, I just can't get over babies in cages.
There was a lot of moral injury. Yeah. And it messed me up because, like, we're just not doing enough. Like, we should be we should be raging the streets. It's like, we know that our government is doing. And so I had to do this whole, and you eventually took my phone from me. But I had to do this whole little search to make it all right in my head. Cause I was like, why is it? And this is the way my understanding works, is like, why is it a problem that Trump does it? And I know these cages were made with Obama. So I had to go through and look up the history of ICE and the history of these tender age camps. And so they were created during Obama. However, during the Obama time, the focus of ICE was on child predators. It was on highly criminal individuals. And of course, those people are going to lose their children. But now we're just talking about people working and trying to make like a better life for themselves, now losing their families. And that was terrible to me.
And the rhetoric that people are hearing, though, is that the only people that are being targeted are criminals.
And this is factually not
And it's just factually not true anymore. Yeah. Right? Like you could just do a little bit more research and you
should absolutely. Like,
please do the research, right? Like, do the research. You do not have to agree with everything that we're saying. I think Christian and I, like, even in this conversation, I think that there are some things that we're not like 100% lined up on, and that's okay. But like the line is people, right?
Yeah.
Humanity.
I know for me that I'm the most all right with myself when I'm being of service to another human.
Yeah.
In all areas of my life. And the problem is just so massive at this point that I couldn't possibly help everybody. But I can do my little piece.
And I think part of that piece is talking, right? And so, like, a few things that I like keep rolling around in the back of my head as we're going through this and doing this, like this podcast this time, is one, I'm certain that we have friends who have known us for a long time that are like, I had no idea that Liz and Christian felt so unstable in their brains.
Yeah.
And so, like, so welcome. When I have said to you many a times that, like, we're all figuring it out all the time and that you're acceptable in all forms. And one day I'll believe that about myself as well. I'm working on it.
I am my own worst enemy.
Right. It's a for real thing. Like, I'm in therapy every week for a reason, even though every month I forget it. And I think the other piece is that we share the how and the why. Like, we have lines in the sand or, drawn through the concrete at this point. Like, there are just pieces that I can't get over and that I don't want to. Like, I don't want to. I want to be clear about what's happening. I don't want it to be muddled, and I don't want to stutter. Um, like, fuck fascism. I'm not okay with this. And our nervous systems are butchered. And not like societally, our nervous systems are just completely disconnected. And so, um, so part of that work, right, is like saying that and to be like, Liz, what do you mean? Like our bodies were in fact not meant to be in fight, flight, or freeze all of the time. That is like a Homo sapiens sapien little piece of our brain. It's something that we'll talk about, and I think in greater detail in a future podcast about how I talk about, is there a bear outside? You heard Christian say, like, I thought that there was, it feels like there's a bear outside of the bathroom curtain, and like it's a whole theory of thought, but like um we're in fact, our bodies cannot stay healthily in a sustained state of fight, flight, or freeze. We have to rest, which is why our brain goes into REM, right? That's why we have to hit REM sleep, is that we have to, on a physiological level, rebuild. And by and large, that is getting harder and harder for people to do, because it feels like the entire world is imploding and exploding at every given moment of time. Our social media tells us that things are this way. What you're seeking out, what you're doing, like that is just getting perpetuated in like whatever forms of, like, these little computers in our hands tell us is like the most important thing, and all of it is bad. That we also forget how to like find light and joy and whimsy and pause and to do a board game, and because it feels like every moment is waiting for me to watch it. And that is that part of our brain that feels like, if I'm not, if my situational awareness is not up, I will die. Because our brains can't decipher the difference when you're in fight or flight. If I'm not paying attention, I'm going to die. I'm not safe, I'm going to die. And that's where we're sort of all sitting right now. And it feels that way every time we turn on the news and somebody else is dead for expressing the First Amendment right.
Bringing us back to the mental health part.
Yep.
Is due to all of this external and inhumane stuff going on. I'm confident that meme,
It's fascism, boss.
it's fascism, boss, is not far from the reality. Is like, I was doing all right. I have always excelled. And some days I just spin in circles. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it takes me an hour to leave the house.
Oh,
Like,
this has been a
because I'll just
rough
go
week,
back
and it's
forth.
only Monday. Yeah.
Like, oh, I forgot this thing. Oh, I forgot this thing. Oh, I forgot this. But I took my medication.
I think Friday was Friday, right? So this was like Friday. It took us over an hour and a half to get out of the house. We don't even eat breakfast in the house.
Yeah.
We drink breakfast in our like little protein shakes in the car. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what did we do on Sunday?
Sunday,
Yeah, we woke up.
I woke up and I said, wife, I'm either going to choose violence or we're going to create stuff. And then I called your friend, who was also
My
having
BFF.
your
Maybe
BFF,
someday.
maybe someday. Shout out.
Shout out. I love you so much.
Who was also having a very hard time. And I said, let's do a craft day. And then we bought a printer and a Cricut, and we're going to make stickers, because paint the town with stickers.
Because paint the town with stickers, and like we just like for fun facts, podcasting is one part of our, I think, creative journey, and how we're figuring out our own legacy and like what we're doing and whatever we want to talk about. Like I think that we have joy in this. But we also many thanks, mostly almost entirely thanks to you just being like, we're gonna do this now. Like
Which she's always into, by the way.
I am always into. I think that there's a good lesson about saying yes. For a different podcast, and so like we have a 3D printer. We have a We Create laser engraver and cutter and all of the things. We like there's a few other tools. Oh, we have like a shirt press. We do like DTF printing. We don't do the printing, but we press like DTF shirts.
But I now make the designs.
And we make the designs, right? Like we design all sorts of things. I have a really fun Portland frog conceptualization that I like dreamed up and then Christian made from scratch because he's apparently an artist now, which is really cool.
I'm very good at reverse engineering things.
I love it. And so so we're on a maker's journey, and so stickers was naturally the next thing. And so my first order of business is to make the stickers and paint the town red that say have rage, find whimsy, fuck fascism. That's mine. So if you see those up and you're like anywhere,
allegedly,
if you want to come and knock on my door for a sticker, please. But please don't. I don't answer if people knock on doors. That's fucking rude.
And we have baseball bats around the house.
For sure. D. Marini, am I right? So I think that's what we're doing. Is that and I can't underscore the importance of community, right? And so like what you did the next day is that you were like, we're gonna go crafting and we're gonna make the things. And my BFF maybe someday is a nurse.
Yeah.
And has been doing this work and is radical and they're just like totally amazing. And they're like a nurse educator as well. And we went to their house because the world is chaos.
Because she could have been that person.
Yeah, and that they are, and that they have been that person. In fact, is that they have spent a lot of time going out and stepping in between, like people being maced and other people. Like that's part of their story as a nurse, and so like being with community, I think that's the other sort of piece, is that like right now, if you're like, yes, all of this rhetoric makes sense, and going back to something you said, like fear is the currency of the government. Not in most governments, not just this one. Yeah. It's not just right now, and it's not just this like administration. It's most governments
all the time,
most of the time. Or in Christians' mind, like all governments all the time, right? Like that fear is the currency. And so to combat fear, you have to chase and remember the things that bring you joy.
And have courage.
And to borrow courage when you can't find your own. You also need to continue doing things when it feels well and good enough and safe enough for you to do so. Like with other people, because fear wants you to isolate, and people trying to elicit fear want to make sure that you're feeling it alone. Because it is much harder to overthrow systems of harm, as individuals, but like a collective stands together. So make stickers. Write your politicians. I think that's what they tell people. It's not a bad idea. But be a part of the system that you're trying to create.
Yeah, I don't personally understand how writing the politicians going, how that works, as we live in a democratic state, and so they're already voting the way that we would want, I guess.
I think like yes and no to your point, right? Like you're middle left. And so like representation, part of writing into your leaders, right? And so like representation is informed by the voters and the sort of the representation panel to which people are. That does not mean that bills get written exactly one way or that people show up in exactly one way or that the tone of things are exactly one way. It is not just this or that. Is that there's a lot of information that gets shared through constituents like you and me to the powers that be and the administration of a city, county, state, higher level, in order to sort of influence that change. The other thing that it does is that it tells people in those positions of power that society is watching. Your constituents are paying attention, and we need you to be there. And so it makes a difference. And this is, I think, one of those great fundamental differences that you're never going to write a senator. That's never gonna. He's shaking his head. So if you're listening,
not
he's like,
gonna.
no. Like he's never gonna do that. And I like this is one of those things where I think we're similar and different.
I
Like
couldn't imagine they're actually reading that.
somebody's reading it. Somebody's reading it. At minimum, people are receiving the letters, and they'll know the
I
difference.
believe that part's true.
And that they'll know the difference between a week where they get 10 letters versus 10,000 letters. Communication matters.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter. I'm just
I'm
telling
not
you what's
here to-
going on in my head.
No, for sure. And I'm just like reinforcing the idea that like communication has to matter. How we talk about ourselves, how we talk about other people.
I don't know what their system looks like, but I have a hard time reading 10 emails a day.
I think there's like lots of executive assistants out there that probably read the mail. If you work in the federal system, does everybody have an executive assistant to read the mail?
I wish I had an executive assistant.
I wish I had an executive assistant to read my mail.
So, I guess the message that we want to say is that we have mental health
Yes.
things to cope with. And what?
I never told you why I chose to go to therapy.
No.
No, go ahead. Finish your thing.
No, yeah.
I could do it after.
Nope. Now you got to do it.
ADHD. Am I right? Like, probably. There were signs.
No.
I specifically said, and then I'll go, and then I forgot. Your story is always very interesting to me.
There was plenty of time to jump in on. We
For
talked
sure.
about.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's fine. I chose to go to therapy. And I continue to go to therapy. But, like, aside from the fact that, like, I could not take care of myself. And I was, like, doing personal video vlogs after going to kickboxing. And I was just, like, I was crying in almost all of them. And I kept a few of them just as, like, a memory. Like, I was very unwell. But I wanted to be the person that I portrayed that I am.
Nope.
And so I have always been a big supporter of therapy. And I'm like, therapy, everybody go to therapy. You should probably go to therapy. Therapy's good. What's wrong with having a friend that you pay for? And I like no longer, like, I just couldn't pretend to be for therapy but not subscribe to it anymore. And so my brother asked me, I don't know, several months ago, maybe even a year ago, like what was sort of that piece that made me want to go to therapy. And I kept looking at, like, man, I'm so unwell. And what if I took my own advice? And what if I was actually participating in the things that are good for me, and that I could give somebody the advice based on experience? And so I think, to continue with the wrap, mental health is a serious problem that lots and lots and lots of people face. and that there are a lot of reasons and a lot of ways to get your mental health addressed. If you've been to therapy and you were like, man, therapy sucked, it's possible that you didn't have the right therapist for you or the right kind of therapy for you.
I've actually, during the 2 years, I've actually had 2 therapists, and I had one who was this very petite, innocent little girl, lady, and I was just convinced that if I were to tell her anything, I would just corrupt her soul.
So you didn't trust
She
that
was
they could
just
handle
so
it,
soft.
right?
And she's like, "How are you doing? How do you feel about that?"
The right therapist at the right time for the right person.
Yeah.
With the right kind of therapy.
And I'm the protector, so I wasn't going to break somebody just to feel better.
And you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you feel like you're out of control, if you're listening and you're like, man, I resonate with a lot of that, like, get help. If you feel like you have bouts of ideation, get help. You can text help. Like, there's hotlines out there if you don't know where to start. And it gets better.
It does get better.
Even when it's harder, it's still better.
That's true. And if you feel like you were doing all right, and now you feel like you're not doing all right, it's the fascism.
It's the fascism, boss.
I said, how rude.
Yeah. And it's true. If you feel like you're tired, that's okay.
Because we went from one disaster to another disaster to another disaster to now unprecedented things.
And the onion of disasters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, for the past 5 years, we have gone through stuff that the entire world was not prepared for.
Yeah.
And if you're still sitting here, you made it through. To the next thing, of course.
And we're glad you did.
Yeah. And if you're in your head, and when I'm in my head, and I need to get out of my head, I go be of service.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll go through all the different ways I've been of service in future episodes, but
Not today.
sometimes it's just going to go home and do the dishes or cook dinner for the family. And other times it's make stickers so we can paint Portland in anti-fascism stickers.
Yeah. Find your thing. And if you don't know how to do it, maybe you just don't know how to do it yet. Like making stickers. What
That's
if you
what
doom
AI is for.
What if you doom scrolled on a how to?
Yeah.
Should we call it?
One last thing.
Okay.
And if you're questioning yourself or what your thought patterns are, I know Liz brought this up last time, but look at your 5 closest people.
Yeah.
Figure out if they're the ones speaking into your life and if they're resembling the person that you want to be.
Are you happy with yourself?
And evaluate the things that you're focusing on.
Yeah.
I remember that, like, this weekend or Friday or Thursday, I caught myself, like, stuck in my car, doom scrolling on Instagram. So then I turned on a podcast so I could just learn something new. Look at the things. I have to consistently look at what the media is that I'm taking in.
And if you want to fix your algorithm a little bit, to sprinkle in like a breath, go into your Instagram, into your TikTok, into your whatever, and look up cute animal videos in your search bar. And then go and engage with it, like a new post, and then do it again and again and again and again. Do it like 5 times, and your algorithm's going to change. And so, like, what we surround ourselves with and what we engage with the most often is how our algorithms are populated. So go and get an otter video.
Let me tell you a fun thing that happened last night. Before this, then we can end after this. Liz was putting the babe down, and singing her songs, and I went to bed, and I was laying on my side of the bed, and I opened up the Instagram, and I just started giggling.
It was really
And
cute.
then, like, I looked over, and Liz was standing in the door, and she says, "I just like that you're giggling in bed." Because my new thing is seal core.
Seal core.
Yeah, like sea lion core. So
Okay.
like you know how like deathcore and like
Sure.
crabcore and da 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 da.
Yeah.
But this is just like seals making absurd sounds and doing funny things. And
How'd you find that?
I don't know. But now my Instagram is full of seal core.
Your universe was like, you know what, my guy,
Ugh,
you've
need a
gone too
break.
hard. You need a seal core.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's like otter core,
I hope so.
and I hope so.
There is crab core, but that's metal music.
It's not the same
Not
thing.
the same. All right.
We're really glad that y'all are here.
We hope you made it through. This might be another 2-part one. I don't know yet.
TBD.
TBD. You'll find out tomorrow,
Yeah.
probably.
Either this Tuesday or the next one.
Oh, yeah. We're at the end.
Yeah.
Good night. Going to bed.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.